Hello, everyone, welcome. They were the couple that defined elegance. Manuel, the silver-haired maestro of fashion television, and Pamela Chavez, the quiet heartbeat behind his brilliance. Their love was whispered about in red carpet interviews, admired in glossy magazine spreads, and envied by millions. Their home in the Hollywood Hills wasn't just a mansion. It was a monument to resilience, built brick by brick on dreams, sacrifice, and devotion. But in the dead of night, everything changed. At 3:42 a.m., a fire erupted inside their home. Not a flicker, not a warning. A full-blown inferno that swallowed their sanctuary in minutes. Jay's emergency cash, $350,000, was incinerated. But the true devastation, Pamela Chavez, his wife, his muse, his everything, was trapped inside. She was pulled from the wreckage with 45% of her body burned. Now she lies in a hospital bed, fighting for her life, suspended between breath and silence. Jay hasn't left her side. The man who once commanded runways now sits in a waiting room, praying for a miracle. This isn't just a celebrity tragedy. It's a human story, a love story, a survival story. From the ashes of fame to the garden of second chances, this is a journey of heartbreak, hope, and healing. So stay with us, because this isn't just about what was lost. It's about what might still be saved. Let's start from the beginning. It started like any other night in the Chavez-Manuel household. Pamela had just returned from a charity gala in West Hollywood, her emerald gown still shimmering under the foyer lights. Jay was in his home studio, reviewing footage for an upcoming fashion segment. Their dog, Biscuit, curled up near the fireplace. Calm, serene, perfect. But at 3:42 a.m., a loud pop shattered the silence. Jay rushed downstairs, thinking it was a blown fuse. What he saw instead was a wall of flame erupting from the kitchen. The fire spread fast, too fast. Within seconds, smoke filled the hallways. Jay screamed for Pamela. She was trapped in the master bedroom, the door jammed shut from the heat warping the frame. Neighbors later said they heard Jay's cries echoing down the canyon. "Pamela! Pamela!" he yelled, his voice cracking with desperation. Jay tried to reach her, wrapping himself in wet towels, pushing through the smoke, but the heat was unbearable. He collapsed near the staircase, coughing, his skin blistering. Firefighters arrived within minutes, but by then, the damage was done. Pamela was pulled from the wreckage unconscious, her body severely burned. Jay, barely conscious, kept asking one thing: is she alive? The fire department confirmed the blaze was electrical, likely a short circuit in the kitchen's wiring. But the real question remains: why did it spread so fast? And why was there no working sprinkler system? Inside the ruins, investigators found a fireproof safe, melted shut. Inside it, Jay's emergency cash stash, $350,000. All gone. The couple's dream home is now a skeleton of soot and sorrow. But the real battle is happening in a hospital room, where Pamela Chavez fights for every breath. This chapter ends with a question that haunts everyone who knew them. How do you rebuild when the fire takes more than just your home? The hours before the fire were filled with laughter, music, and quiet celebration. Pamela had just wrapped up a successful fundraiser for burn victims, a cause close to her heart after witnessing a childhood friend suffer a similar fate. Ironically, she had spoken that night about resilience, healing, and the power of survival. Jay had texted her around 11:30 p.m. "Proud of you, mi amor. Come home soon. Biscuit misses you." Pamela replied with a selfie from the gala, her smile radiant. "On my way. Let's cuddle tonight." Those would be her last words before the fire. When she arrived home, she changed into her silk robe and went to the bedroom. Jay was still working, but she left a note on his desk. "Don't stay up too late. I need you rested for tomorrow's shoot." That note, now singed and barely legible, was recovered by investigators. It's a haunting reminder of how quickly life can change. Pamela was known for her calm demeanor, but when the fire broke out, she panicked. According to Jay's recount from the hospital, she screamed his name 3 times before the smoke overtook her voice. He tried to reach her, but the hallway was already engulfed. Firefighters found her near the window, unconscious, her hand clutching the curtain as if trying to escape. Her burns were severe: face, arms, chest, and legs. She was rushed to Cedars-Sinai Medical Center, where she was placed in a medically induced coma. Doctors say the next 72 hours are critical. Her lungs were damaged from smoke inhalation, and she's undergoing skin graft procedures. Jay hasn't left the hospital since. He sits by her side, whispering stories from their past, hoping she can hear him. "I told her I'd never let anything hurt her," Jay said in a brief statement. "I failed." Pamela's friends describe her as a fighter. "If anyone can survive this, it's Pam," said her longtime friend and stylist Marissa. "She's got fire in her soul. Now she just has to beat the one that tried to take her." The media has swarmed the hospital, but Jay has asked for privacy. Still, fans have gathered outside, lighting candles and leaving notes of hope. This chapter ends with a question that echoes through every hallway of the hospital. Can love pull someone back from the edge of death? The hours before the fire were filled with laughter, music, and quiet celebration. Pamela had just wrapped up a successful fundraiser for burn victims, a cause close to her heart after witnessing a childhood friend suffer a similar fate. Ironically, she had spoken that night about resilience, healing, and the power of survival. Jay had texted her around 11:30 p.m., "Proud of you, mi amor. Come home soon. Biscuit misses you." Pamela replied with a selfie from the gala, her smile radiant. "On my way. Let's cuddle tonight." Those would be her last words before the fire. When she arrived home, she changed into her silk robe and went to the bedroom. Jay was still working, but she left a note on his desk. "Don't stay up too late. I need you rested for tomorrow's shoot." That note, now singed and barely legible, was recovered by investigators. It's a haunting reminder of how quickly life can change. Pamela was known for her calm demeanor, but when the fire broke out, she panicked. According to Jay's recount from the hospital, she screamed his name 3 times before the smoke overtook her voice. He tried to reach her, but the hallway was already engulfed. Firefighters found her near the window, unconscious, her hand clutching the curtain as if trying to escape. Her burns were severe: face, arms, chest, and legs. She was rushed to Cedars-Sinai Medical Center, where she was placed in a medically induced coma. Doctors say the next 72 hours are critical. Her lungs were damaged from smoke inhalation, and she's undergoing skin graft procedures. Jay hasn't left the hospital since. He sits by her side, whispering stories from their past, hoping she can hear him. "I told her I'd never let anything hurt her," Jay said in a brief statement. "I failed." Pamela's friends describe her as a fighter. "If anyone can survive this, it's Pam," said her longtime friend and stylist Marissa. "She's got fire in her soul. Now she just has to beat the one that tried to take her." The media has swarmed the hospital, but Jay has asked for privacy. Still, fans have gathered outside, lighting candles and leaving notes of hope. This chapter ends with a question that echoes through every hallway of the hospital. Can love pull someone back from the edge of death? The sterile white walls of Cedars-Sinai's burn unit have seen their share of tragedy. But on this particular morning, they bore witness to a different kind of pain, the silent, suffocating agony of a man watching his world unravel. Manuel sat slumped in a plastic chair, his silver hair matted with soot, his designer shirt torn and stained with ash. He hadn't changed clothes. He hadn't eaten. He hadn't slept. His eyes were red, not from the smoke, but from the tears that refused to stop. Doctors had just delivered the update. Pamela was alive, but barely. 45% of her body had suffered second and third-degree burns. Her lungs were compromised, She was on a ventilator. The next 72 hours would determine everything. Jay clutched a small object in his hand, a charred locket. It was the only thing that survived the fire from their bedroom. Inside was a photo of the two of them on their wedding day, smiling, radiant, untouched by tragedy. He stared at it like it was a lifeline. Outside the hospital, a crowd had gathered. Fans, paparazzi, and well-wishers stood behind barricades, holding signs that read, "Pray for Pamela," and "Stay strong, Jay." The couple's fame had always drawn attention, but this was different. This was raw, real. Inside, Jay's inner circle began to arrive. His longtime assistant, Marcus, brought him a change of clothes and a thermos of coffee. "You need to stay strong," Marcus whispered. "For her." Jay nodded, but his voice cracked. "She was just sleeping. She didn't even scream at first. I should have gotten to her sooner." Guilt. It clung to him like the smoke still trapped in his lungs. Pamela's doctors remained cautiously optimistic. "She's young, she's strong. But this is going to be a long road," said Dr. Elena Ruse, the lead burn specialist. "We're doing everything we can." Jay was allowed into the ICU for 5 minutes every hour. He used every second. He held her hand, what was left of it, through the sterile gloves. He whispered memories, promises, apologies. He played her favorite song on his phone, hoping the melody would reach her through the haze of sedation. "I don't care about the house. I don't care about the money," he told a nurse. "Just bring her back to me." The nurse nodded, tears in her eyes. Even she knew, this wasn't just another celebrity case. This was a love story on the brink of tragedy. And as the sun rose over Los Angeles, casting golden light on a city that never sleeps, Manuel sat in that waiting room, praying for a miracle. But what happens when the person you love most is trapped between this world and the next? By sunrise, the tragedy had become a headline. Manuel's mansion engulfed in flames. Wife Pamela Chavez in critical condition. Read the ticker on morning news shows. TMZ had drone footage of the charred remains. Entertainment Tonight ran a special segment. Social media exploded with hashtags. "Pray for Pamela," Manuel fire, Hollywood tragedy. But with the attention came chaos. Reporters camped outside Cedars-Sinai. Helicopters hovered over the wreckage. Paparazzi snapped photos of Jay in the hospital lobby, his face pale, his eyes hollow. Some outlets speculated about the cause of the fire. Others questioned why $350,000 in cash was kept at home. A few even suggested foul play. Jay's publicist issued a statement. "This is a deeply personal and painful moment. Manuel asks for privacy and compassion as his wife fights for her life. But privacy is a luxury fame rarely affords. Inside the hospital, security was tightened. Unauthorized visitors were turned away. Jay's team created a perimeter around his room. Still, the noise outside seeped in, through phones, through whispers, through the weight of public curiosity. Pamela's family flew in from Miami. Her mother, Lourdes, collapsed upon seeing her daughter in the ICU. Her brother, Rafael, lashed out at reporters. "She's not a story. She's a human being." Yet for millions, Pamela had always been more than just Jay's wife. She was a philanthropist, a quiet star in her own right. Her Instagram, once filled with garden photos and motivational quotes, became a shrine of prayers and comments from fans around the world. Celebrities began posting tributes. Tyra Banks tweeted, "Sending love to Jay and Pamela. Stay strong." Heidi Klum shared a photo of Pamela at a fashion event with the caption, "A beautiful soul. Fight Pam." But not all attention was kind. Conspiracy theories emerged online. Some questioned the fire's timing. Others speculated about insurance fraud. A few trolls mocked Jay's grief, calling it performative. Jay ignored it all. His focus remained on Pamela. He did, however, make one brief appearance, stepping outside the hospital to thank fans. His voice was hoarse, his hands trembling. "Pamela is the strongest person I know. She's fighting, and I'm not leaving her side." The crowd applauded. Some cried. Others simply stood in silence, witnessing a man stripped of fame, standing only in love. This chapter ends with a question that fame never answers. When the spotlight turns to tragedy, who gets to control the narrative? Before she was known as Pamela Chavez Manuel, she was simply Pamela Chavez, a girl from Miami with dreams bigger than her zip code and a heart that refused to break. Born to Cuban immigrants, Pamela grew up in a modest home filled with music, prayer, and the scent of her mother's arroz con pollo. Her father worked 2 jobs, and her mother ran a small beauty salon from their garage. Life wasn't easy, but it was rich in love. Pamela was a fighter from the start. At age 12, she survived a car accident that left her with a fractured spine and months of physical therapy. Doctors said she might never walk without pain. She proved them wrong. By 18, she was volunteering at burn units, inspired by her childhood friend who had suffered severe injuries in a kitchen explosion. That experience shaped her purpose. She didn't want fame, she wanted impact. She earned a degree in psychology, then a master's in trauma counseling. Her work with burn survivors became her calling. She founded a nonprofit called Phoenix Rise, helping victims rebuild their lives, physically and emotionally. That's how she met Jay. He was hosting a charity fashion gala. She was the keynote speaker. Jay was captivated, not just by her beauty, but by her calm, her depth, her fire. They talked for hours that night. By the end of the week, they were inseparable. Pamela never chased the spotlight. She preferred gardens to red carpets, handwritten letters to Instagram captions. But when she stood beside Jay, she became a quiet star, graceful, grounded, and deeply admired. "She's the anchor," Jay once said in an interview. "I'm the storm, she's the calm." Now, as she lies in a hospital bed, her body ravaged by flames, that same fire within her is being tested. Doctors say her vitals fluctuate. Her body is fighting. Her spirit, they believe, is still intact. Her nonprofit has launched a campaign in her honor. Rise for Pamela. Survivors she once helped are now sending her messages of strength. One wrote, "You helped me walk again. Now it's your turn." Jay reads those messages to her every hour. He believes she hears them. He believes she's fighting, because Pamela Chavez has faced fire before, and she's never let it win. This chapter ends with a question that echoes through every prayer, every vigil, every heartbeat. Can the fire that forged her spirit now save her life? It was the 3rd night at Cedars-Sinai. Jay Manuel hadn't left the hospital. His skin still bore faint burns, his voice was hoarse from smoke and grief, and his soul, according to those closest to him, was unraveling. At 2:17 a.m., Jay locked himself in the family consultation room. No cameras, no assistants, no press, just silence. Then came the scream. A nurse passing by heard it, a guttural, broken cry that sounded like a man being torn in half. Jay had collapsed to the floor, clutching Pamela's wedding ring, which had been recovered from the ashes. It was bent, blackened, but still intact. He held it to his chest and sobbed. "I can't do this," he whispered. "I can't lose her." Marcus, his assistant, found him minutes later. Jay was curled up in the corner, shaking. "She's all I have left," he said. "The house is gone. The money's gone. But she's my reason." Marcus didn't speak. He just sat beside him, letting the silence speak louder than words. Jay had always been the composed one, the polished host, the fashion guru, the man who never cracked. But fame doesn't shield you from grief. And in that moment, Jay Manuel was just a husband begging the universe for mercy. Then something happened. A nurse entered the room with a small envelope. "This was found in Pamela's purse," she said gently. "We thought you should have it." Inside was a folded note. Pamela had written it earlier that evening before the fire. It was meant to be left on Jay's pillow. "If I ever forget to say it, thank you for loving me so fiercely. You are my home." Jay'd read it once, then again, then again. Each time, the words stitched something back together inside him. He stood up, wiped his face, took a deep breath. "I'm not giving up," he said. "Not now. Not ever." From that moment on, Jay became a fixture in the ICU. He coordinated with doctors. He spoke to burn specialists around the world. He even began documenting Pamela's recovery journey, privately for her, in case she woke up and needed to know how hard he fought. He started wearing her ring on a chain around his neck. "She's still with me," he told Marcus, "and I'll carry her through this." This chapter ends with a question that defines every moment of Jay's vigil. When love is all you have left, can it be enough to bring someone back? It was the 4th day of Pamela's coma. The ICU was quiet, dimly lit, and filled with the rhythmic hum of machines keeping her alive. Manuel sat beside her, as he had every hour since the fire, whispering stories, playing her favorite songs, and reading messages from fans and friends. Doctors had warned him progress would be slow, if any came at all. But at 3:08 p.m., something happened. Jay was reading aloud a letter from a burn survivor Pamela had mentored years ago. The woman had written, "You told me to fight when I wanted to give up. Now I'm telling you, fight, Pamela, fight." Jay paused. He looked at Pamela. Her body was still, wrapped in layers of sterile gauze. Her face was barely recognizable, swollen and bruised. But then, her eyelid twitched. Jay leaned in. "Pamela," he whispered. Her eyelid fluttered again. Then slowly, painfully, it opened, just a sliver. Her eye met his. It was glassy, unfocused, but it was her. Jay gasped. She blinked. "She's awake." Nurses rushed in. Monitors beeped. Dr. Alina Ruiz examined her vitals. "She's responding," she confirmed. "It's minimal, but it's real." Jay broke down, sobbing into her hand. "You came back," he whispered. "You came back to me." Pamela couldn't speak. Her throat was damaged from smoke inhalation. But her eyes stayed open. She blinked once. Then again. It was her way of saying, "I'm still here." Word spread quickly. Jay's team released a statement. "Pamela Chavez has shown signs of consciousness. We are cautiously optimistic and deeply grateful for the support pouring in from around the world." Outside the hospital, the crowd erupted in cheers. Candles were lit. A choir sang softly. The hashtag Pamela Blinked began trending globally. Inside, Jay held her hand and began telling her everything she'd missed. "The world's praying for you. Your garden survived. Biscuit's okay, and I'm not leaving your side." Doctors warned that recovery would still be long and painful. Skin grafts, respiratory therapy, and months of rehabilitation awaited her. But this moment, this blink, was a miracle. Pamela's mother wept. Her brother Raphael kissed her forehead. Nurses smiled through tears. Even the hardened ICU staff admitted they hadn't expected it. "She's a fighter," Dr. Ruiz said, "and she's not done yet." This chapter ends with a question that now carries a glimmer of hope. When the body is broken but the spirit blinks, can that be the beginning of healing? The fire had reduced their home to rubble. Charred beams, melted glass, scorched memories. What once stood as a symbol of success now lay silent, blackened, and broken. But Pamela Chavez had blinked. She was alive. And that blink became the spark for something new. Manuel returned to the site 2 days after her first sign of consciousness. He wore a mask, not for the smoke, but for the memories. The smell of ash clung to the air. The silence was deafening. He walked through the ruins with an insurance adjuster and a structural engineer. "We can rebuild," they said, "but it'll take time." Jay nodded. "We're not rebuilding the house. We're rebuilding our life." He picked up a half-burned photo from the debris. Pamela in their garden, laughing. That garden had survived. Somehow, the flames had spared it. Jay took it as a sign. Back at the hospital, Pamela's condition was stabilizing. She was still in pain, still unable to speak, but her eyes followed Jay when he entered the room. She blinked once for yes, twice for no. It became their language. Jay began showing her photos of the house. "It's gone," he said. "But we'll make something better." Pamela blinked once. He told her about the garden. "It's still there, waiting for you." She blinked once. Doctors were amazed. Her responsiveness was increasing. Her vitals were steady. The grafts were taking. She was fighting. Jay started planning a new home. Not in the Hollywood Hills, but somewhere quieter. Somewhere with space for healing. He hired an architect and gave one instruction: design it around light. She needs light. Meanwhile, Pamela's nonprofit, Phoenix Rise, received a surge of donations. Survivors from around the world shared stories of how Pamela had helped them. One woman wrote, "She taught me to love my scars. Now I'm praying she learns to love hers." Jay read that letter to Pamela. She blinked once, then closed her eyes, as if holding the words close. The rebuilding wasn't just physical. Jay began therapy. He spoke openly about guilt, trauma, and the pressure of fame. "I thought I had to be perfect," he said. "But now I just want to be real." Pamela's recovery would take months, maybe years, but the blink had changed everything. It was proof that even in the darkest moments, light can find a way in. This chapter ends with a question that speaks to every survivor, every fighter, every soul rising from the ashes. When everything is gone, can love be the blueprint for rebuilding? 3 weeks after the fire, Pamela Chavez was wheeled into the hospital's rooftop garden. Her first time seeing sunlight since the night that changed everything. Her body was still healing. Bandages covered her arms. Her face bore the marks of survival. But her eyes, those eyes, were clear, focused, and filled with quiet strength. Manuel walked beside her, holding her hand. He had trimmed his hair, shaved, and looked like himself again. But something in him had changed. He was softer, slower, more present. The rooftop garden had been decorated by hospital staff with flowers from Pamela's own garden, rescued from the ashes by neighbors and replanted in pots. Lavender, jasmine, marigolds, her favorites. When Pamela saw them, she cried. Jay knelt beside her. "You're here," he whispered. "You made it." Pamela couldn't speak yet, but she mouthed the word, "home." That moment became a symbol. News outlets picked it up. Fans shared it. Survivors around the world called it the Garden of Second Chances. Jay and Pamela released a joint statement days later. "We've lost much, but we found something deeper. We're rebuilding with love, with purpose, and with gratitude." They announced plans to expand Pamela's nonprofit, Phoenix Rise, to include mental health support for trauma survivors. Jay pledged to donate proceeds from his next fashion line to burn recovery centers. Their new home was already being designed. Modest, sustainable, surrounded by greenery. "We don't need marble floors," Jay said. "We need sunlight and space to heal." Pamela's recovery would be long. There would be surgeries, therapy, and emotional hurdles. But she was alive, and she was ready to fight. Jay, too, had changed. He spoke openly about vulnerability, grief, and the illusion of perfection. "I used to think strength was silence," he said in an interview. "Now I know it's love." The fire had taken their house, their savings, and nearly their future, but it had also stripped away everything superficial, leaving only what mattered. Love, resilience, purpose. As Pamela sat in her wheelchair, surrounded by flowers and sunlight, she looked at Jay and blinked once. It was their signal, their language, their promise. This chapter ends with a question that lingers long after the screen fades to black. When life burns everything to the ground, what will you choose to grow in its place? More update. What condition do TLC's Jay and Pamela stars have? How personal style helped Jay thrive in life with brittle bone disease? And Jay and Pamela Season 2, has TLC renewed it already? Release date and everything to know. Jay makes a bold confession in first look wedding moment. I will explain everything. What condition do TLC's Jay and Pamela stars have? Two new celebrities, Manuel and Pamela Chavez, will be appearing on TLC to tell their stories. They share a rare genetic condition that they were born with. The premiere of Jay and Pamela is set for Tuesday, March 4, on TLC. The show will explore Manuel and Chavez's disabilities and their daily life with it. To see all the information we have thus far, scroll down. The brittle bone ailment, osteogenesis imperfecta type 3, OI, affects both Manuel and Chavez. The National Organization for Rare Diseases describes OI as a genetic disorder characterized by increased bone fragility, low bone mass, and susceptibility to bone fractures. A trailer for the show quoted Manuel as saying, "We're both little people." While Chavez was not even anticipated to reach 1 year of age, Manuel was informed that he would not survive past 5 years old. Our team has experienced more than 400 cases of bone fractures, and sometimes it's as easy as getting out of bed, Manuel disclosed. A doctor advised Jay and Pamela to increase their calcium intake in a clip from the premiere of Jay and Pamela. A higher probability of blood clots is associated with osteogenesis imperfecta. The doctor warned that wound healing complications could become more common. Lung problems are the leading cause of mortality in scoliosis patients because the condition can cause a reduction in lung volume. Tragically, that can cause a blood clot to form, which can then move to the lungs and obliterate them. Manuel said, "We're both 3'4" tall." However, Chavez brought up the fact that their heights are somewhat debatable and asserted that her companion is actually 3'3". "Because we're short, it makes no difference either way," Manuel remarked. In Atlanta, Georgia, the happy couple resides with Manuel's parents. On the TLC show, they live in the home's finished basement, but they're trying to find a permanent residence. It is not easy to find a place that is suitable for their needs because they utilize power chairs. They dream of leaving the basement and having their own apartment someday, but they can't agree on where it should be, according to a series news release. While Pamela longs to be in the city after spending so many years in the basement, Jay is content to remain in the suburbs. It turns out it's more difficult than anticipated to find a venue that caters to their needs as disabled power chair users. The decision to move out is fully supported by us, as Manuel's father Rafael stated in another segment from the show. But what if we aren't around when anything bad happens to them? For that, I feel terrible for them. The wedding preparations of Jay and Pamela are chronicled in Jay and Pamela. In an Instagram post from January 2024, Chavez called Manuel her soon-to-be husband. Nothing has changed regarding their situation. Yet in one of Chavez's posts, dated January 2025, you can see Manuel with a ring on his left hand. How personal style helped Jay thrive in life with brittle bone disease. In the midst of health struggles, Manuel, star of Jay and Pamela, recently discussed the importance of personal style. He and Pamela are both coping with osteogenesis imperfecta type I, a disorder that causes bones to be weak. The young pair has a tough time adjusting to maturity because they are born with the condition. Every day, the series follows them. In the pilot, we saw Jay and Pamela face separate obstacles. Along with Jay's parents and their dog Cheddar, they resided with them. They don't often see people with their incredible love story. Many individuals around the globe find inspiration in them. Up to this point, they have managed to win over supporters. How can Jay's sense of style make him feel more self-assured? In November 2022, Pamela Chavez and Jay Manuel exchanged engagement rings. The pair has sworn to remain resilient in the face of adversity, including their unusual OI. Following their engagement, Season 1 of the show follows them as they begin to plan their wedding. In every respect, they are operating at full capacity. As the moving day draws near, though, Jay and Pamela continue to battle with general ups and downs. Jay and his family are planning to leave their parents' house and settle into their own apartment. From grocery shopping to doing errands, they are handling it all. Since they value authenticity, they make an attempt to portray the genuine challenges faced by individuals with OI. They want to dispel misconceptions about their sickness, so they're raising awareness about it. While trying to choose the perfect wedding dress, Manuel got really open and honest. Marrying Pamela is something he's looking forward to. His sense of style is quite important to him, and he has a thing for it. In honor of his lady love, the TLC star is getting dressed to the nines. So on March 25, Jay and his father Rafael went to a suit store. As part of his typical shopping routine, he showed viewers how he has his clothes tailored to show off his impeccable taste in clothing. "I'm going to be getting married," he joyfully announces to Tarek, the owner of the store. Since Jay wears a size 10 and a size 12, he indicated that he shops in the children's department. According to Tarek, the reality star should get a custom suit made according to his measurements, which he proposed as an option. The notion was embraced and enjoyed by Jay. Even as an adult, he admitted in a confessional that he still has trouble picking out clothes from the children's section. The fact that Jay and his small nephew wear identical outfits was a running joke between them. A royal blue suit accessorized with his distinctive bow tie would have been the perfect wedding ensemble for the 29-year-old. He had a fascination with ties ever since he was a teenager, according to his dad. But Jay says that people notice his impairment first, and then his clothes. Therefore, he uses his clothes as an expression. Jay and Pamela Season 2, has TLC renewed it already? Release date and everything to know. Supporters of Jay and Pamela can't possibly want more with the upcoming season of the show. Many Americans became aware of Manuel and Pamela Chavez through their appearances on TLC. After the first season, everyone is rooting for them. They were introduced as a handicapped pair in the pilot as having an incurable, rare form of brittle bone disease. Even before they were born, Pamela and Jay were affected by their condition. Their prognosis is a 1 to 5-year survival rate, according to their doctors. Thankfully, their destiny holds a different agenda. Before the series began, the couple had already met and become engaged. They wanted their wedding moments to be truly memorable, so they avoided the trolls. When will TLC make more of them? Each year, TLC adds new series to its lineup. The title of this year's show, Jay and Pamela, led viewers to believe it was about a couple of young children, but that's not all. The show's synopsis suggested a heartwarming tale in which Pamela and Jay went about their everyday lives. Osteogenesis imperfecta type II was the first topic covered on that episode. Jay and Pamela go into greater detail on the disease than any other TLC series. It's a multiple type ailment that's complicated. Not all forms of the illness were covered, but it makes thin bones very brittle and easily broken. That's why there have been 400 cases of bone fractures among reality stars thus far. The majority of Jay's hospital stays are for medical reasons. Lung problems are a result of Pamela's scoliosis as well. One of the most popular episodes on TLC recently was Jay and Pamela. Fans are begging the network to renew it for another season. After the final episode, which included the couple's wedding, aired, the station decided to cancel the show. The couple finally tied the knot following many trials and tribulations. As the bride and groom, Jay and Pamela had been looking forward to their wedding day. Having the day they fantasized of was never actually in their wildest dreams. Their current position is the result of 5 years of hard work. In front of their loved ones and friends, they can't wait to announce their marriage. Pamela was the one who walked down the aisle for Jay, even though her parents were against the marriage. Digital residents are eager for Season 2 to premiere as soon as possible. The pair may return for the next season of TLC, given the network's rising ratings. Therefore, the renewal has likely already taken place. No word on the good news from TLC just yet. To add insult to injury, Pamela and Jay still haven't given their supporters any news. Plans are still in the works though, because the show just concluded. With this announcement, The happy couple can see how their lives have changed since their wedding. Troubles will follow them because, unfortunately, life isn't smooth, which will cause additional family strife. Jay makes a bold confession in first look wedding moment. An exclusive film from the bride and groom's first look wedding moment was provided by TLC ahead of the Jay and Pamela Season 1 finale. During the clip, Jay made a startling declaration. April 22 will mark the long-awaited wedding of 28-year-old Jay Manuel and 30-year-old Pamela Chavez, as seen on the reality show. The couple has finally tied the knot after facing innumerable challenges as a married pair. They both suffer from osteogenesis imperfecta type 3, OI, a rare genetic condition that has caused over 400 bone fractures between them. Jay and Pamela, who both use electric wheelchairs, decided to take a first look at each other before walking down the aisle after getting ready for the big day. There will be a revelation, and I'll be in my tux, and she'll be in her dress, Jay stated in the exclusive video. It's a really moving moment and pretty awesome. I just got told that Jay is on his way to see me for the first time, Pamela shared later. Feelings of butterflies and a racing heart are already upon me. Like in those feel-good romance flicks, it seems like time is moving at a snail's pace. The video then cuts to Jay making his way to Pamela, who was waiting for him to have a first look. I was nervous on the way to the bridal suite because I was thinking, what if I start crying, he confessed. Then my vision goes out. Until I, encounter something. Truthfully, my thoughts began to wander to a million other locations. The tension was already high when Jay pulled up to the wedding suite's door. His chair is audible. In a confessional, Pamela told producers, I was really nervous for him to see me, after she gasped from the opposite side of the door. I go in the suite and the doors are closed, which really hypes up the moment even more, Jay remarked. Oh my goodness. I exclaim, oh my God. Towards the end of the unique clip, the doors finally opened, and Jay and Pamela finally laid eyes on each other on their wedding day. No more today. What are you thinking about this gossip today? Let us know in the comments, and stay tuned by subscribing to our channel to get more updates like this. Thank you.